welcome to Roll for Geekiness and another episode of the Deck Brewers Cauldron, the series where members of our team talk about some of their favorite Magic the Gathering decks and the cards and combos that make them tick. I'm Jonathan, and this time I'm going to talk about my Muldrotha, the Gravetide Commander deck. Let's dig into it. Muldrotha the Gravetide costs 3 generic, 1 black, 1 green, and 1 blue for a 6/6 legendary elemental avatar. She has a single static ability. During each of your turns, you may play a land and cast a permanent spell of each permanent type from your graveyard. If this card has multiple permanent types, choose one as you play it. With an ability like that, I certainly don't mind things going to my graveyard. In fact, it's almost as good as drawing a card. So cards like Perpetual Timepiece, Sidisi Brood Tyrant, Uruk Loremage, and Gravebreaker Lamia can do a lot of work for me. Of course, with stuff constantly leaving my graveyard, things like Secrets of the Dead, Sir Conrad the Grim, Tormod the Desecrator, and Willowgeist will also see a lot of action. Since Muldrotha's ability specifically allows me to recycle permanents, I want to be environmentally friendly and get as many effects as I can that are stapled onto permanents, rather than casting instants and sorceries that I can't get back. For counterspells, I run Daring Apprentice, Glen Elendra Archmage, Siren Stormtamer, Wizard Replica, and even Lunar Force. For removal, I have a lot of choices, including, just to name a few, Executioner's Capsule, Myers Grasp, Obnixilis the Hate-Twisted, Ravenous Chupacabra, Sylvok Replica, Nevinyrral's Disc, and Pernicious Deed. Many of these sacrifice themselves so that they can be recast, but for a few it can be useful to have some tools like Witch's Oven, Lampad of Death's Vigil, and Greater Good. You might have noticed a couple of artifact creatures and enchantment creatures in this mix. I like these because with the way Muldrotha's ability works, I can cast them from my graveyard as either of their types, which is important when I can only cast one of each permanent type per turn with her ability. Now, you may have noticed that Muldrotha costs 6 mana to get onto the battlefield, so I'm a real fan of the Panoramas and other lands like Archaeological Dig, Promising Vein, and Shire Terrace, which will let me fix my mana early and can still be used later to keep the mana flowing. Lotus Field is an all-star in this deck because I can replay those sacrificed lands. And to the point that I made a moment ago, rather than typical mana rocks, Ornithopter, Paradise, and Scuttlemutt have more replay value because of their additional permanent types. To protect Muldrotha and keep her on the table, I have the counter spells that I mentioned earlier, but things like Kaya's Ghost Form, Minion's Return, Slippery Bogbonder, and Tyrite Sanctum can all be counted on to keep coming back. And if those don't work, a few extra pieces like Emry, Lurker of the Loch, Conduit of Worlds, Marin of Clan Neltoth, Glissa the Traitor, and Deadbridge Chant can fill in for Mully or just augment the amount of graveyard recursion that I've got going on. There are a number of other gems buried in this deck that I didn't mention, so check out the full deck list on Architect, linked below. As always, we'd love to hear your comments. Tell us about your favorite Magic the Gathering graveyard hijinks, or share a story about our friend Muldrotha.